I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I am currently co-parenting with two baby daddies. So I does this, okay? All right, guys, I'm locked out on my computer and I'm waiting for IT to hit me back. So as I wait, I wanted to talk to y'all about something that's really impactful and important with co-parenting. I'm going to try to do this without pausing or without hesitation. So bear with me, laugh throughout, you know, talk junk in the comments. I don't care. But my purpose to come to you today is to talk about rigidity in parenting, but most importantly, co-parenting. So let me explain, right? We've all experienced at one point or another someone that just does not move their thought process. They don't move they're persistent with the way that they think about things. You may try to convince them to see things from a different perspective, but even those times it's just really challenging because you reach a dead end with that. One big example that I know a lot of people experience, and I've experienced in my own life, is rigid parents, right? Not that my whole life I had a rigid parent, but at some point during my teenage years, I experienced rigidity in my parents' style of parenting. So, what happens when you're rigid? When you're rigid in a parenting household, you have these rules that are inflexible. The rules are rules type of home environment where they're not discussed. What you say doesn't really, as a child, won't be taken into consideration. And it doesn't matter if your friend needs you right now. It's no is no. When I say you can't, for instance, a rule, you can't go over a friend's house. Even if your friend is going through something tragic, there's no flexibility. You won't be able to support your friend. You got to do it from whatever rigid boundaries the parents have set. So why do I bring this up? Well, it becomes unclear on when people are so rigid on what their point is. You lose the plot, okay? The values that are important to you are not showing during this rigidity. It turns into this consistent need for I'm right, you're wrong. It almost reminds me of that Matilda line, and I love it. If I could find the clip, I will insert it. I'm wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm smart. You're dumb. I'm big. You're small. And there's nothing you can do about it. And frankly, we know people like this, and unfortunately, some of us have grown up in households like this, where parents can become rigid. And what does that create? It can create rebellion with the child, where they may feel like, well, if there's so many rules, I'll just learn how to get around them. Okay, not to say all the time that creates that, but let's say the opposite end of that spectrum. A kid might not be rebellious, but at some point they will become an independent adult, hopefully. That's the goal. And during that time, they may not feel like they can make decisions without guidance. And that is a scary place to be, where you're in the real world, and because you grew up in such rigidity, you weren't never allowed to make certain mistakes, to have shortcomings. You weren't allowed to fall and then get the support of your parent to say, hey, it's okay, make a better choice next time, or this is why you can make these mistakes while you're under our care, so that we can help support you and get you right back up. Well, how does this all relate to co-parenting? Some of us bring those rigid values and point of views to co-parenting, which become same ideas happen. we get into this rigidity of, nope, my kid is not going over there on Fridays, and that's final. I get every Wednesday through Friday, and that is that. Or maybe it's something about um, something different that I have not mentioned that you might be avoiding of in the co-parenting relationship. Like, we're not going to discuss that, and you completely brush it off. You're rigid and not flexible on the discussion, so it creates this feeling of either rebellion within the child, because the child might feel like, I have to keep this from my parent, because my mom is so rigid, or because my parent is so rigid, I will have to no choice but to do this when I'm with this parent and not tell my mom. And I say mom because I'm a mom, so I kind of am comfortable with just thinking about my perspective of things. But I'll try to refrain from picking out whether it comes from mom or dad. That's IT. Give me a sec. All right, IT got back to me. Sorry about that. Where was I? Okay, flexibility. So we all had an experience with somebody that has just some rigid black and white thinking, and it just does not help the situation. So I want to encourage you, when you're co-parenting, if you want the healthiest relationship with your kids and them to see healthy co-parenting, I would start there. If you find yourself having these black and white thoughts of um, just sticking to the facts. No, it's always Wednesday through Saturday. I have this kid, I always have to have him Wednesday through Saturday. Well, what if they have a family reunion on the other side? Will you not be flexible? You're just going to say no because it's on a day that they are on your time? Like, what is that teaching the child? That's teaching the child to also have that black and white, very fixed thinking where things are either your way or not. Right, you know? So I want to encourage you to have some flexibility in those times that seem a little bit frustrating, even. I discussed that one example, but there are other times where maybe a kid feels like they need you. There might be other times, right? This might work in your favor. For instance, if they just need you. Some kids, there's been kids that I've heard, or I have worked with kids that have told me, right now, I just need my mom more, or I just need my dad more. And that speaks volumes, because if we stick to this mundane routine of every Wednesday through Saturday, I have to be with mom, but then there's times that I need mom more, how will they get their needs met? And if the center of the co-parenting is the child, then you would look at the child and say, well, you know what, they're saying that this during this time, they need me a little bit more. So I might talk to my co-parent and say, hey, what are we going to do about this? Can we be a little bit flexible? And my hope is that people learn that flexibility to be beneficial to the child and not as an attack on your parenting or an attack on what you're doing right or wrong. Co-parenting is an absolute difficult thing to do. There's no right or wrong. Whatever works for you and your family and your child, most importantly, is the way to go. I'm just giving some tips. I hope this helps. If you have any comments, please share. Do you experience rigidity in your own co-parenting style? Have you witnessed it as a child in between two rigid parents? How is it that you want to be more flexible in your co-parenting relationship? And let me know what you think.